You said we've gone from not caring about kids' feelings to letting kids' feelings dictate what we do as parents. Talk to me about that.
Decades ago, probably in still some families now, right? It's, I don't know, let's say some version of, I don't want to go to Aunt Sally's house. I don't care if you want to go to Aunt Sally's house, put on a smile, put on your shoes or else, and then some consequence, right? That would be, I don't care about your feelings. I'm not listening. I'm not really connecting. I am telling you what to do. I'm leading with control. But yes, what I've noticed is something completely overcorrected that I would say is equally as bad for kids. Same situation. I don't want to go to Aunt Sally's today. It's so boring. I want to hang out with my friends. You know what? And then fill in the blank. I'll get a sitter. I'll stay home. Let me call 3 different people and see what you can do. And there's so many examples of this. I don't want to leave the playground. Well, I guess we'll stay at the playground longer. And it's not to say I'm against parent flexibility. Sometimes, of course, we can be flexible. But we've gone from not caring about kids' emotions to being scared of kids' emotions. That's why we let them run the show. That's why we give our kids' emotions the steering wheel. And I think what we stand for at Good Inside is something remarkably in the middle. It is very important to see your kids' feelings as real. That's really what it is. That's what validation is. It's the process of saying to someone else, I might not be feeling what you're feeling, but what you are feeling is real. And I am interested in learning about it. I think that's very important. Oh, you don't want to go to Sally's house. I get it. You'd rather be sitting home and watching the basketball game on TV. Totally hear you. And then I think there's a well-placed because that is part of our job. Empathizing with a kid's feelings is only half of your job as a parent. The other half is setting a true boundary, is what I think of as authority without aggression, which is rarely modeled, but is important, which is some version of we committed to going to Aunt Sally's as a family. And the truth is, there's a good amount of things we all have to do that aren't number one on our agenda, that are even a little bit boring. This is one of those things. It's okay if you whine on the way there. I know when we get there, you're going to be able to pull it together. It's not going to be your most fun Saturday, but we'll get through it as a family. All right, what kind of music do you want to listen to in the car?
Why do we find that so tough? Why is that so hard to do as a parent?
I think there's so many factors. Parenting is the last job in the world where we glorify instinct alone. We haven't been taught, well, how do I connect to my kid, but also hold a boundary, right? It would be like telling a surgeon to do surgery without medical school. That's kind of what we do to parents. So how can you employ a skill in a difficult situation when you've never been taught a skill and that skill wasn't modeled in your own childhood? And if I think about where parenting is today versus decades ago, I think as adults, we've become less and less tolerant of frustration. Mm-hmm. We have our phones, we have our dopamine, we have so much more ease in our life. And one of the things I always think about is our kids can't learn to tolerate feelings we don't tolerate in them. So if I have an increasingly lowered frustration tolerance because of all of the ease and dopamine hits in my life, I am inherently less tolerant of my kids whining.
Wow.
If we can't tolerate our kids' disappointment or frustration, they're not learning to, which is why then it looks like their emotions are making all the decisions.
Wow. That's extremely powerful, which is because they can't tolerate their feelings because of our reaction to their feelings. They now don't actually develop resilience or grit or all the things we want them to develop because tolerance and knowing how to accept and sit in the feeling is such an important skill set.
This is everything. Kids, they're born into the world and they're born with all the feelings and none of the skills to manage feelings. There's a gap. But the problem isn't the feelings. The problem is the lack of skills. Mm-hmm. We as parents, we are the coaches. Modern life is so hard, right? But yes, if we can't tolerate the challenging feelings our kids have, and we look for a quick distraction or a quick exit for them right away, then what they learn is something really interesting. What they learn is, I'm a kid and I find my feelings overwhelming, but oh my goodness, my feelings overwhelming. The things that feel scary and toxic to me, maybe they really are scary and toxic. And then things can go from there.